What's good, people? Agent Juice reporting for duty. Today's video is about how I love D&D, or I guess Dungeons and Dragons for those not in the know, but it's kind of a mainstream enough thing that I think enough people know about it. And it's more than just D&D, it's just the concept of tabletop RPGs in general. Today's location is Griffith Park, and it's actually not too bad. You know, normally I'm always complaining about the heat, but today is kind of a cooler day. I figured I'd show you guys some nature because nature always reminds me of D&D games, because a lot of our games would be romps through the forest fighting monsters, and I thought that would be appropriate. So anyway, brief history of my gaming is I played a little bit of D&D kind of in middle school and high school, but never really got into it. It was college when I really first got into it. A group of my friends, or at the time they weren't my friends, they eventually became my close friends, they made a D&D club called Tesos, and Tesos is a made-up world where you can, you know, the idea is that you can make multiple characters and play in mini campaigns, and kind of the shtick is that, oh, it's a big old world and all these things are happening in this one world, so it kind of ties everything together. So that's when I really started getting into it, because, you know, in my youth, I always liked the idea of creating a character and thinking, oh, what would they do in this scenario? And this offered me a tangible way to see what would happen if they did these certain actions, because you can roll dice, get numerical values, and then use those numerical values to determine success or failure. And that was a really novel idea, and you know, to this day, I love that concept. And the funny thing about D&D is that, of course, as I learned more about it, I got bit by the power gaming bug, right? So I started making, you know, I started researching how to build your character just right to get them to, like, the absolute most powerful versions of themselves, and, you know, it kind of went crazy from there. But I love it because, you know, I ended up playing that game for, like, 10 years. I mean, I still kind of do. I don't play it as much anymore because I'm more busy. But that experience gave me my closest group of friends who, you know, even though they're all out in the homeland of Colorado and I'm out here in LA, we still chat on Facebook. So it gave me that, which I'm grateful for. And to make this relevant to the my story is that it gave me a plethora of characters that I could use in my own writing, and in a way it taught me how to create a character, a really compelling character. Because if you really think about it, writing is taking a person, a made-up person, and thinking, what would this kind of person do in this scenario? And that's the story. That's the story you tell. That's the story you write. You know, I mean, my TV shows that I'm working on, a good handful of those characters are repurposed D&D characters I played, you know, so it gave me good writing material, you know. Like, I would actually recommend writers play some kind of tabletop RPG to get that experience. Create a character, make it a character you're writing from, you know. Who cares how cringy it is? I mean, who's gonna care? If you're playing with the right people, they're not gonna care. Wanted to make sure that wasn't a wild animal. But yeah, you know, just like, you know, make them, you're now put in this interesting scenario, and then kind of think in their head and play through this game, and you might discover some really interesting things about this character. You might even, you know, if you're already writing something, you might even think of a new thing to put in the story, or a new direction, or the character themselves might change. You know, it's quite fascinating. You know, I guess a good example of what I can think of is, to use me for example, is going into power gaming, of course. You know, I love, you know, making these super powerful characters, but there was a part of me, and there always is a part of me, that wants to make characters interesting. And how do you make someone super powerful interesting? And I was thinking, like, what if I just kind of made fun of it? You know, big, angry McStab with his +10 greatsword of mutilation. And it's like, you know, what if I just kind of clown around with the idea and just make it comical? And by doing that, I ended up, not that exact character, but I ended up like pulling scenarios, and I can't even think of any off the top of my head, unfortunately, that I could put this character in and, like, you know, make some pretty amusing scenarios. Actually, a perfect example now that I'm thinking about it, is one of the TV show I'm working on right now, Meanie in Happy Land, is basically about a mean, like Kratos-like warlord who is conquering this horrible Warhammer 40k oppressive galaxy, but he's defeated in combat and he's banished to like this Care Bear land, and he's been stripped of his mighty godly might, so he can't escape this place. He has no power here, so he has to learn how to hang out with, you know, get along with these My Little Ponies. And you know, I'm not entirely sure I would have been able to come up with that concept if I didn't play some D&D and kind of get an idea of what a character like that would do in a scenario where he couldn't just, you know, kill everything. So yeah, I would recommend doing it as a writing exercise, and even as like maybe an acting exercise, you know, for you actors out there. I think it would be a fun little thing, because tabletop RPG is basically you being the audience, the actor, and the writer all at once, and you're with this group of friends and you all agree to tell this story and see what happens based on your choices, and of course the result of your numerical values being applied. Yeah, food for thought. All right, I'm going to go ahead and wrap up for today. As per usual, if you like this series, if you like me, this pretty smile of mine, go ahead and like and subscribe, ring the bell, all the YouTube nonsense. Once again, I'll go ahead and provide my intro video / Teespring link thing for you people who want to buy a nice pretty shirt. And until next time, deuces.